President Trump again imposed unjustified tariffs on our nation in violation of our existing trade agreements.
It's official. Canada just flipped the switch. Off. Billions of dollars on the line. A 50-year energy alliance cracked like ice under pressure, and millions of Americans may soon feel the sting. In their wallets, their homes, and their monthly electric bills. Because when Canada cuts power ties with the US, it's not just politics. It's a $25 billion fallout. It's an 11% power rate surge on the horizon. And it's a geoeconomic earthquake that just hit North America. But what happened? Why would Canada, one of the US's closest allies, pull the plug on a deal that kept both nations powered, profitable, and stable? And more importantly, who's going to pay the price now? Let's break it all down. Chapter 1. The energy bond that powered a continent. For decades, the US-Canada power partnership has been one of the most successful cross-border energy collaborations in the world. Canada, rich in hydroelectric resources, exported clean, cheap, renewable electricity to the US, helping fuel American cities from New England to the Midwest. In return, billions flowed back into Canadian energy companies. Both nations benefited, until now, because in 2025, the game changed. Chapter 2, Canada says, enough is enough. But why? The shock move began with a quiet whisper in policy circles and ended in a thunderclap of a press conference. Canada's energy minister stood before flashing cameras and declared, and Canada will begin phasing out cross-border energy exports in key regions by 2026. Our resources will prioritize Canadian demand, sustainability, and sovereignty. Translation? No more business as usual with the US. Behind the scenes, multiple factors collided. 1. Rising domestic demand. Canadian provinces like Ontario and Alberta are facing explosive energy needs. 2. Climate pressure. With aggressive carbon goals, Canada wants to keep more clean power at home. 3. Political tension. Trade disputes, tariffs, and US pressure on Canadian timber and tech didn't help. 4. Economic nationalism. Ottawa is pushing a Canada-first agenda, especially in strategic sectors. And the power grid, that's as strategic as it gets. Chapter 3. The $25 billion fallout begins. So, what's the damage? Over $25 billion worth of annual power deals and infrastructure projects are now in limbo or scrapped. Multi-billion-dollar transmission lines cancelled. Long-term contracts dissolved or renegotiated at premium prices. US utility companies blindsided, scrambling to fill the gap. Dozens of cross-border power plants were affected. States like New York, Michigan, Minnesota, and Vermont, all deeply reliant on Canadian electricity, are suddenly exposed. And the result? Brace yourself. Chapter 4. US power rates. Set to surge 11% or more. Industry experts are already forecasting a minimum 11% electricity rate hike in the affected states, and it could go higher if the gap isn't filled quickly. Why? Because replacing cheap Canadian hydropower isn't easy. Or cheap. You can't build a nuclear plant overnight. Solar and wind projects take years to scale. Fossil fuels are getting hit with their own inflation and regulatory burdens. Some utilities may even restart mothballed coal plants just to keep the lights on, a move that's both costly and controversial. So if you're living in one of those power-importing states, that energy bill? Yeah, it's going up. Chapter 5. Political firestorm erupts in Washington. It didn't take long for the heat to rise in Washington, D.C. Senators are calling it a strategic betrayal. Governors are demanding emergency funding, and some are even threatening retaliatory tariffs on Canadian goods. Meanwhile, U.S. energy officials are holding emergency talks with domestic producers to ramp up supply. But that's not easy in an industry that takes years to adjust to new demand. One energy CEO said it best, "We didn't lose a supplier, we lost a lifeline." Chapter 6. Canada's justification, we're not the bad guys here. Back in Canada, officials aren't apologizing. They say the move is about climate leadership, resource sovereignty, and protecting Canadian citizens from their own energy crisis. And truth be told, they kind of have a point. Canada's population is growing fast, extreme winters are draining grids, and politicians are under pressure to deliver green energy security, not export profits. For Canadian voters, it's the right move. For US consumers, it's a wake-up call. Chapter 7. What happens now? And who feels it most? If you're wondering who gets hit the hardest, start with low-income households in the Northeast and Midwest. Then add small businesses running energy-heavy operations. And don't forget about data centers, EV charging infrastructure, and industrial plants, all of which depend on stable, affordable electricity. Power grid stress. That could also mean rolling blackouts in extreme weather, especially in already vulnerable regions. This isn't just an energy story, it's an economic, political, and social bombshell. Chapter 8. Is there a way out, or is it too late? Some US lawmakers are calling for urgent renegotiation, hoping Canada will reconsider or slow the phase-out. But sources say Ottawa's already committed to the shift. Meanwhile, American RC site utility companies are investing in solar mega farms, fast-tracking wind projects, trying to source energy from domestic hydro and nuclear alternatives. But those solutions take time. And until then, brace for volatile power bills, local grid shortages, and some serious finger-pointing between state and federal governments. Canada's decision to cut power ties with the US isn't just a trade dispute. It's a fundamental shift in how North America powers its future. It's a wake-up call about energy dependence, a reminder that even the closest allies can put their own citizens first, and a preview of what happens when energy becomes a weapon in global economics. The fallout is real, the impact already hitting. And the question now isn't just what went wrong, it's what happens next. Because in this new energy era, the lights may still be on, but the game has changed.